Today's guest is from Melville, Saskatchewan. He is an experienced former territory manager working in the mechanical and industrial engineering industry, agriculture industry, and public sector. He is skilled in negotiation, business planning, sales, cold calling, and sales operation. He's also the owner and founder of Buzzy Sales Consulting and the founder of InvictaVR. Welcome to the show, Jason Beres. How you doing?
Hey, Nick, fantastic. Thanks for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
I said your last name right? I always, I can't remember every time.
Beres,
I just always
Beres. Sure, whatever.
What is that? What is that?
Beres.
Belarus?
Yeah, it's from over there somewhere, Hungary.
What the last name? Where does that originate from?
Hungary.
Hungary?
Yeah.
Wow. So, do you know what generation you are? Generation Canadian?
No, I don't.
That was one of the most fascinating things for me when I first came to Canada. I noticed like a lot of the Blacks would know, or even some of the Irish, they'd be like, oh, well, I'm first generation Canadian or second generation Canadian. And they knew when or what, if their parents or grandparents or who migrated here, who was born here, and things like that. So must be long history in Canada for your family.
Yeah, it is.
To not really know. So, because I don't know what generation American I am.
Yeah.
Right. So
right. I know my great grandfather came over from Hungary. So
your great grandfather would be first generation, and then your grandfather would be second, your father third, so you're fourth.
Yeah, fourth generation. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Have you ever been back over there?
I haven't. It's in my plans. It's on my bucket list to go back there. And just they say that it's great, like Budapest and stuff like that. It's a fantastic, just the structures and the history and everything around it. I think it's really cool to see.
Do you find any kind of emotional connections to your heritage?
No, not really. No, I always joke about starting a Hungarian takeover, but I don't really know anybody who's Hungarian, like aside from my family and the people who are closest to me. But you run into the odd people and they're like, "Oh, Beres, that must be Hungarian." I'm like, "Yeah, as a matter of fact, it is." And then they say their name, and well, it could be anything. It's engine ski, and it could be Polish, it could be Hungarian, it could be anything.
Yeah.
Ukrainian. So it's hard. That's a really good question, and it would be good to have that opportunity to connect with people closer around here. But there's no real Hungarian connection, right? Like there's no
yeah,
right? Like,
did you grow up eating Hungarian type foods or anything, or what's your favorite Hungarian dish?
There's a couple ones that, that in the Hungarian world. Babajko is one.
What is that?
Babajko is it's a Christmas dish actually that you eat at just Christmas time, and all it is really dry bread cut into chunks, soaked in boiling water with poppy seed and a little bit of sugar on top.
Wow.
Yeah, right.
What kind of flavor is it? Just the poppy seed flavor, or?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it is, and it's a Hungarian thing, and yeah, it's of course
it's cold, so you gotta eat your bread to stay warm.
I guess that was it, and I guess the story goes back in the day that before they really had anything, right? That was easy to make, and that was easily acceptable and accessible, and so that's what you made, right? And it filled you up, and you were good for the night, right? So it's just a tradition that goes way, way back within the Hungarian tradition. Of course, there's the goulashes and basically stew, if you want to talk English, and there's just there's different Hungarian traditions within cooking that everybody's like, "Oh, you eat that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I like it." Liver and onions. I'll go liver and onions all day, right? And I'm like, yuck. but
Yeah.
that's not necessarily the Hungarian. But yeah, we never really grew up speaking Hungarian or nothing like that. But it just where your ancestors are from, so you try and hold on to that as long as you can. But within my generation now, it's kind of getting less and less. My brothers, are probably more connected, but with my generation, it's probably getting less and less, just like everybody's, right?
Yeah, I just keep getting this in my head. Genghis Khan. Is Genghis Khan,
No, he wasn't
was he
Hungarian.
he wasn't Hungarian, right? He's
No,
Mongolian.
he's Mongolian. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. It's all over there.
Yeah.
He conquered more land in 25 years than the Chinese dynasty did in 200.
Holy cow, is that right?
Yeah, they said it's like over like one out of every 100 kids or something like that is related to Genghis Khan.
Holy cow.
Yeah, he's one of the most fiercest warriors of all time, and ruthless as well. Like they said, he would just leave women when people would come and storm their village. He would leave his wives and things and just keep and pack up and go. But he was out there doing it, man. But yeah,
That's hustling.
Genghis Khan. That's the way it was.
That's the way it was.
I guess he goes down and he had great pickup lines.
Yeah, pickup lines before pickup lines were a thing. Yeah.
InvictaVR, I just thought about it. Like, what if you could go back into the eyes of the greatest warriors during battle, right? Wouldn't that be so cool to see from the eyes of the greatest warriors during battle? But InvictaVR, tell me about that.
Getting to that, there's a majority of people that would put that headset on today and look through those eyes, and they would have to take it off. I'm not sure if a lot of the stuff that happened back then, people as a society as today would be able to handle it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It would be to the nth degree over the top. But anyways, InvictaVR, I started it. I wanted to help people, right? And I wanted to give back somehow, and InvictaVR is going to be able to do that. So when you and I first started talking about it and, developing it as a mental health strengthening conditioning tool, I still think at the end of the day, we're going to get to that. But, within InvictaVR and the 5 pillars that are within the InvictaVR program, we're going to help not only, people with mental health, we're also going to help athletes. We're going to help, law enforcement, military. We're going to help teachers. We're going to help people who didn't really know that they needed the help. And, interesting studies out there about retention, right, of using VR and, the information that you retain by using VR instead of looking at a notepad or an iPad. And, there's ranges anywhere from 8.8% to 40%, people
Wow.
retain. So I believe that. I totally will believe that. The research was done by University of Maryland, and it just there's people out there that would put the headset on and think, well, this is just a game. But with Invicta, we're not aiming it to be in the gaming industry whatsoever, and we're going to optimize people's performance through it. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, it truly can change the game with just the elements all involved in, like you said, for law enforcement and military and for kids and teachers to help cope with a lot of the issues, right? Even athletes, right? And, retraining the brain and doing some of those things that will allow you to be more effective. And from an athlete standpoint, I don't think people understand how mental like pro sports is, right? Because there's not a lot of talent that really separates you. Like if you look across the field, if you say, okay, this guy's this talented, the next guy wouldn't be that far off if you just looked at the top most talented guy.
Sure.
What separates you is your mental ability.
Yep.
Right. To retain the knowledge and to be able to display it. And, I always say you have to turn your brain off when you play because you have to let your body react. But when you're in that auto focus mode where your body's just reacting, your brain's not really turned off. It's really working at a high level, right?
And
Being able to process what you're seeing.
Just like you
Go
said,
ahead.
there's some people that can't process that high level activity though, right? So, whether we're going to train or retrain the brain, as you said, that's going to be the determining factor as to whether you want to advance your career. And it doesn't have to be an athlete, really. It can be
Yeah.
an executive. You can be a salesperson. You could be really anything. You use it just personally, just to advance yourself personally, right? And
Yes.
there may be times where within the VR type of environment that something may come up that you'll retain because you've seen it before within the VR environment versus words on a piece of paper. And I think the learning ability within the VR environment opens you up to having that ability to relive that moment later on down the road, and learn from that and say, oh, okay, I've seen this before, I've been in this situation before, and this is how it turned out for me. And I don't think anybody thinks further than what they're going to do the next 5-10 minutes rather than
Yeah.
think, okay, well, what if this happened, what's going to happen? And I think that's where we can get to it. I think that's what we're going to accomplish that.
And right now you're looking at a space where we've had 7 mass shootings, I believe, in the last week. We have thousands of kids committing suicide during this COVID pandemic. Just the mental health challenges to overcome, to withstand, and to learn ways to cope with life and to move forward. All those things we need answers to.
Yep.
All right. Or we need to create systems and things that can help.
Yep.
Right. I don't know if there's a happy medium, because our generation, we like, oh, the kids are soft. Right. They have pretty much everything these days. And sometimes it comes down to likes and how many likes I can get on a post or things like that. Or you see these Instagram and TikTok, Snapchat, and they use these platforms to find self-worth. Right. It's just it's a hard transition. And when you think about like mental health, can you talk about how InvictaVR can improve someone's mental health?
And that's a good way of putting it. So, using InvictaVR, you don't have to go and you're not going to be in public using it, right? So you're going to have to be able to use it. You have the ability to use it within the confines of your own house where you find safety. And now, you go and use InvictaVR and you go ahead and do the modules that are, directly aimed at training the brain or retraining the brain for depression, anxiety, name one. I mean, there's 100 of them, learning disabilities. And if any of those things are the things that are keeping you down or getting you down, or you feel that you're not an equal, go ahead and put it on and put the module on within your own safety. There doesn't have to be anybody have to be around. Nobody's going to judge you. So just go ahead and do the thing, take in the environment, take in the module, take in the learning effect, and now apply it to your daily life. And, tell me that that's not going to make a difference. I think that's, there's no doubt that's going to make a difference.
Yeah, 100% with you.
And, you
to get on, oh, go ahead.
You mentioned earlier that, are the kids soft and, blah, blah, blah. And I'll go the other way. I'll tend to argue with the other side that are kids soft or are their parents soft? Right. So what came first, the chicken or the egg? And, is if the parents, are allowing that to get, these kids to, they're giving them accessibility to, quote, be soft.
Yeah.
Who's to blame here, right? So I know there's a lot of that's probably an unpopular opinion, but
no, you're probably spot on with it, because I mean, my cousin has a saying that it goes, if you spoil your kids, you'll raise your grandkids. If you raise your kids, you'll spoil your grandkids. Right?
I like it.
And we do get to a point to where you do see evolution of more, but kids today have to put up with so much more.
Yep.
Right. When I was growing up, I didn't have to deal with social media.
Nope.
I didn't have to deal with all these different things. And I mean, even high school and college playing, I didn't have to deal with social media.
Yep.
It wasn't until I got to the CFL that I had to deal with, probably 2 or 3 years into my career that I had to start dealing with, hate on social media.
Yep.
Right. You make one mistake, somebody catches it on camera, and now everybody sees it. It goes viral. Millions of people see it. Like that's dangerous.
And and I'll call them for what they are. Those keyboard warriors that are out there would never ever say that to your face, ever.
No.
It would never ever happen. And yet, for some reason, they're empowered behind a keyboard to put it out onto any platform that'll read it. And and there's like-minded people that just jump on that wagon and say, yeah, Nick, why did you do that? Like, you're such a loser, right?
Yeah.
They would never ever say that to anybody, and whether it's Nick Lewis or whether it's Jason Beres, they would never ever say that to me or you in our face. And
yeah,
like I say, the keyboard allows them to, and it just it's unfortunate, but that's the world we live in. And getting back to that a little bit with InvictaVR and the social media aspect and or the media aspect today, some of these guys in the media ask absolutely ridiculous questions instead of asking the actual question, about an athlete on the field, right? It's more
do you
like,
think you're going to win? No, I'm showing up because we know we're going to lose, right? So, yeah.
And the ones that get me the most is for example, right now, like the Buffalo Sabres have lost 15 in a row. And, they'll go up to one of the guys on that team and say, same thing. Well, do you want to win next time? And, some of those guys, you can just see them, like, their eyes roll so far back in their head, like they're come back around, and they say, like, you know what, like, what do you think we're trying to do here? Like, guys aren't on any team to lose. And no matter what sport you're in to be competitive and win. And
the only way you can have longevity in a career is to be a part of some good teams. Like if you're part of bad teams all the time, then those people fade out pretty quickly. No matter how much talent you have, unless you're like the best player on the worst team.
Sure.
But then, it's got to transform into wins. If it doesn't,
we've talked about
I used to look around the locker room and I'd see guys and I'd be like, my first year in Calgary went 4-14. And they would like look around the locker room. You're seeing 5 or 6 new guys every day.
Yeah.
They're not bringing them in to hang out.
So they're bringing them in to take your job because they want to play, right?
That's it.
That's how it works. If you don't want to play here, guess what? We'll bring somebody else to take your job. There's always somebody looking to take your job.
That's it.
So, play that to the best of your ability, win, lose, or otherwise, but go out there to win. And,
That's it.
So, getting back to InvictaVR a little bit. So, we talked about the modules within the sports one about having the ability to, show a team as a team, the ability to win as a team.
Yeah.
The ability to lose as a team, though, as well. And how you handle that as losing, how you stack wins from losing. And, it's not just losing and moping in your cereal. It's losing and saying, well, what else can I do better in order for this team to be better, in order for us to win tomorrow? And if more guys had that attitude and play the team game, there probably would be a little bit more wins. That being said, I get it. There's more than just, playing as a team to win. You got to have a few bounces and whatever. But having the ability to have a VR system that will actually show you how to win as a team, or that actual that brain thinking wave that you're going to win as a team, and this is how we're going to feel as a winning team. I think that could be very beneficial to, no matter whether you're 18-0 or 0-18. I don't think that makes any difference. I think as long as you can have that ability to win as a team, to thinking of winning as a team is very beneficial.
That makes me think. One of my former guests on the podcast was Nick Ring, former UFC fighter out of Calgary, and he talked about a book, The Winner Effect. And I went out and got it and reading The Winner Effect, and it just talks about how, stacking wins and how it increases your testosterone. Like if it talked about two boxers, it talked about Mike Tyson. So when Mike was winning and he steps in the ring, he actually has more testosterone than an opponent coming off a loss.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They tested fans after games, like before the game and after games, and the winning side fans, their testosterone increased. Losing side fans, testosterone decreased. Just off of watching someone win or lose, and everything is so emotionally tied to what you do, right? If you're an athlete, what you're doing in front of people, your emotions are tied to that winning or losing. As fans, your emotions are tied to that as well, because you want to see your son or daughter or team win a game.
There's
right?
a strong link to dopamine and the dopamine hit that you get when you win, when you lose, whatever. But when you stack wins, all you're doing is stacking those dopamine hits, like bang, 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 and now you're basically 10 foot tall and bulletproof, because you're looking forward to that next dopamine hit. And how are you going to get that? By winning.
Right? And I could see how InvictaVR could help you stack wins up until game day, that increases your testosterone and your belief level, that when you step on the field or you step on the court or wherever you are, or even if you step into a meeting or a job opportunity, that you feel more confident and you present yourself in a great way. That's just awesome all the way around the board, that this is going to be able to help so many people.
I see InvictaVR being a help just if you're going for a job interview, just to have the ability to, how to handle yourself, how to settle your nerves, how to, react to, maybe the tougher questions that might be asked in a job interview. And, being able to, take a breath, let's start over. Here we go. Well, I've done this 100 times on a VR effect. Let's do it. Right. And it's all about preparation. And VR, like, again, if it can help you be more 8 to 10% to 40% prepared, who wouldn't want to be, right? I'll take 8% any given day of the week.
Yeah, 100%.
It's way more than zero, that's for sure.
It is way more than zero.
And so I see InvictaVR being helped for that, also for social media, right? Like just helping these guys out with social media nowadays, and how harsh it can be, right? And it just, I think that the stacking win solution within the VR system that we're developing is going to be next level.
Yeah, from that and that emotional response, man, I could see that just being truly game changing for so many athletes, so many people that need that help, and it'll truly help them deal with the things better in life and on a day-to-day basis, your encounters with other people and different things, right? So, but on a different note, go ahead.
If you feel good, you play good.
You play good. Yeah, that's it. Speaking of playing good, I just found out the other day that you have an incredible card collection. Can I ask, when did this card collection start?
So, funny story. So I grew up on a farm. We farmed just northeast of Melville. And so it was a real treat for me to go into town with mom and dad, and they went grocery shopping on, whatever, a Friday afternoon, picked me up from school, and then they would go uptown and do their grocery shopping, whatever. And there was this little confectionery, this little Chinese fellow owned a confectionery store downtown Melville, and he would sell these stickers and these books. It was through O-Pee-Chee. And you'd have this book, and then you'd buy a pack of stickers for like 25 cents. And then, I'm a huge Oiler fan. Edmonton Oilers are number one in my heart and in my head, and the wrong way some days. But You'd buy these stickers, and then you'd flip open the page to the team that had the players in there. You put these stickers in there, and your goal was to fill the book, right? So of course you'd get some doubles. So you try and find some of your friends maybe to trade those with or whatever. And so that's where I first really started with the sports cards thing, but it wasn't really cards at all. And then it got to the buying a pack of baseball cards. And baseball cards back then were, again, 25 cents or a buck, and there was a stick of gum in there. And at that time, you're buying it for the stick of gum. You know what I mean? Like, and the gum was like actually
it was hard,
right? But as a kid that young, you're like, oh, a stick of gum inside of baseball cards. Oh, amazing find, right? And so then you start collecting these cards, and at the time you don't really know what you got, but you're like, oh, I'm a huge San Francisco Giants fan too, right? So you open it up, oh my goodness, I got like a Will Clark, like and oh my goodness, got like a Willie Mays, right, or something like that. You're like, that's absolute gold, right? And then as I got older, it kind of went by the wayside, and then you grow up and you kind of make more time maybe for girls than you do for sports cards, and so it kind of gets pushed off. And then as I got older, I got back into it, and you quickly realize that there's three different kind of tiers of sports cards. There's like a low end tier, a mid tier, and a very high end, and the price obviously varies by boxes and packs and cases, whatever. And so I'll show you a really quick example. So here's a Rod Carew. Here's a Rod Carew autograph card. Okay. And so Rod Carew is an absolute legend, right?
Yep. Hall of Fame baseball player. Yeah.
And so I'm not a Rod Carew fan or a Minnesota Twins fan, but I'm a baseball fan, right? And so for me to have a card like this with Rod Carew's authenticated autograph on it is a big deal to me, right? That's some people would say, oh, Jan, right? That's boring, but it's a really big deal to me. On the other hand, here's a Bobby Orr autograph, right? Bobby Orr autograph to me, is in the hockey world. Wayne Gretzky's number one, Bobby Orr's number two, right? That's the way that my rankings are. And so, when you have a card like that for a guy that you look up to, it's cool to have. Here's one that, I'll show you that I don't really like showing many people because sports cards industry nowadays has become a big money game.
Yes, I've seen that.
And there's stuff that are collectibles within the collectible system that people will pay ridiculous money for, right?
Kobe Bryant just went for like over $1 million, I believe, like 1.7 million.
Tom Brady's rookie card just sold for 1.9 million, I think it was.
Wow.
Wayne Gretzky graded 10. It sold for, I can't remember what it sold for now. It was ridiculous. It was millions of dollars. This is a card that back in the day, his Gretzky card, his rookie card, Wayne Gretzky's rookie card is $79.80. There's people back in the day that quote unquote hated Wayne Gretzky and for what he was, what he brought to the game, and that to me just blows my mind. But anyway, they'd put him in the spokes of their bike, just make noise. You possibly, if you had a hot tub time machine and you went back all the way to in 79 when you bought that pack of cards for 10 cents and you got a Wayne Gretzky rookie card in there, you'd probably think to yourself, now, I probably shouldn't put it in the spokes of my bike.
Yeah.
I should probably put it away and get it graded. So if it grades a 10, it's going to be worth $10 million. You know what I mean? Like,
that's crazy.
So anyways, getting back to this one, this one's really part of my main collection. It is a Michael Jordan autographed C letter off of it's a manufactured patch
off his jersey.
Off his jersey. And
is that an 8.5 rating?
This is graded an 8.5, yeah. And then it's graded a 10 for the autograph. And so in the grading system, obviously 10 is the best, and then it goes down from there. I'll take an 8.5 Michael Jordan card any given day of the week. And then that being said, this card is also numbered. What I mean by numbered is that there's only 23 of them made. So I'm not sure if you can see that or not, but it says number 11 at 23. And so,
Wow.
To have a card like that in your possession it's one of the top ones in my possession. And it goes, I've got a few that I didn't bring because I have them under lock and key and a rabid dog, but like McDavid, right? I have a lot of McDavid cards nowadays, and of course we all know what Connor McDavid does, and just amazing hockey player at full speed. Just crazy what he does, and points he puts up, and the show that he puts on any given night. Whether you're an Oilers fan or not, he puts on a show for every fan. I've got a bunch of his rookie stuff, but then I've got like this one here is a LeBron James rookie card. Right. And so this one graded a 9. Okay.
So who grades it, and how do you get a rating? I have a book. I have probably 10 books of football. I had a separate basketball book. I had a football book, and I had a baseball book, and I had everything by the teams. So I was constantly rearranging. It was nothing. I remember those little pages were like 10 cents. So I I would double book like each side with cards, and I probably have over 1,000 pages of cards, but I haven't seen them in probably 25 years.
Yep.
Right. And I know that there was some great cards in there, but
name me a player that you think that you have in there from that era.
Well, I'm pretty sure I had some like Gary Payton, Sean Kemp, Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin. I think I had some Reggie White cards, things like that. At 10 years old, 12 years old, you used to get the Topps book, and you could go through and see, this is 25 cents, this is 35 cents. I had a couple dollar cards back then, but I don't know what they'd be worth now. Shit, I don't even know where the books are. You talking about this makes me want to go to Texas and go. I haven't been to my grandmother's house since she passed away in 2018. Go in there and find those cards. Matter of fact, I'm calling my aunt right now and say, hey, I need you to go find some cards for me.
Yep.
And, we're going to go through them.
It's worth it whether you're planning on reselling those cards in order for profit, or it's worth it whether you're just looking to relive your childhood. Because when I look through my cards, and I don't really see them as a monetary value anymore. For the most part, I have my set collection, and I'll buy cards and trade cards and buy cards and sell cards back and forth now. But for the most part, I know what I want to keep, and what if I open a box today and there's something that somebody else wants, you're more than likely, you're more than happy to have it. It's worth it. The book value is $10. How's $5, right?
Yeah.
Beckett, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Beckett. Beckett's in Dallas, right? And so that's what this Michael Jordan card is graded by, Beckett Grading Services.
Okay.
So they're one grading service, and PSA is another. There's a couple other ones. Leaf is a Canadian branded one, and to get it graded, all you do is, here's the part of the issue that I have with grading cards. I would prefer to fly it all the way to Dallas and take a bunch of cards that I've got that are on the higher end, and say, Beckett, how much is it to grade these cards? And I'd like to wait here until you've done them, because not that I don't trust people, but what if I have a Gretzky that's could be a possible 10, and the guy grades is like, oh, this is a 10. Yoink, put my other one here that's a 4. Here you go, here's your 4. You know what I mean? So yeah. I hate to say that happens, because I don't know, but I'm just saying that that's that you send it away to a grading company, they grade it, and they send it back, and you pay them your money.
For them to be in that industry, they have to have an interest in cards.
Have to.
I'm not going to grade cards if I don't have an interest in cards.
Have to, Nick, right? You said it. You nailed it. So yeah, I'm not putting any, I'm not planting that seed here. I'm just saying that I would prefer to be there when it happened, and
100%.
Beckett allows you to do that before COVID. They allowed you to do that, to take it right down there. But so yeah, so there's a few grading companies, but that's the process, that you send it down there. Then they have their ratings. So for example, like the one on here says centering, it gives it a 9 because the card is off center a bit as to the picture or whatever. I don't know how that works or what those numbers are supposed to be, but corners are a 9, surface an 8, edges are a 9. So a lot of the times it depends on how the card was cut, right? At the company, right? It's a lot of times how the card was laid on top of the cardboard, stuff like that. And so there's a whole bunch of different variables within grading, but none that I have any familiarity with. Let's go. Let's just move on here just a little bit. I have to show you just a couple of unique cards that I got recently.
Okay.
So it's not just about sports cards. This is a set from, it's called Goodwin Champions. And Goodwin Champions kind of does cards from every sport. You can get a Tiger Woods card in one pack, and you could get a Wayne Gretzky card in the next. So
oh, wow.
It's not really about, and then they have variants cards. And this is the one, they couldn't put it in the pack because it's so thick, but they have redemptions, what they call it. So you'll get a card, and it'll look like, I don't have one here in front of me, but it's basically just a scratch card. And you scratch off the code, and now there's a number here. You go on the Upper Deck website, and you go and you put that number into the redemption area, and then they'll send you what that redemption card is. Well, I have a redemption card it's called a Museum Aviation Collection, and I got this card. I'll actually take it out of here.
Oh, wow.
So it is a button off of a World War, is this World War II or World War One? World War One. This is off a World War One jacket from a officer that fought in battle.
That is amazing.
Right? And it just,
like, how do you like this could be, we're looking at content for AO, and Paul talked about a trading card show. And I was like, do people still trade cards? And then when I talked to you, you were like, yes, it's big game. And we talked about NBA Top Shot and things like that. But dude, that is fascinating. I'm starting to feel like I'm on Pawn Stars here, but with trading cards and other memorabilia. Like, this is like big game stuff. Like, how much you think that would be worth?
You know what? I'll be honest with you. I don't know. Because it's not for sale, and I don't only collect just for what it's worth. And I always tell guys, and they're like, oh my goodness, what's that Rod Carew card worth? What's this worth? And I'm like, it's worth whatever somebody will pay you.
Yeah,
it's a piece of cardboard.
That's everything in life, right?
That's everything in life. It's a piece of cardboard. There's values that are put out there, obviously, like for the the Gretzkys and the McDavids and the Crosby and stuff. I can tell you what that stuff's worth, but worth as per the hobby. But this may be worth $1 million to me. Do you want to pay me $1 million for this, Nick?
Yeah.
That's just it, right? So for my collection, it's really cool.
But the fascination behind it, like, what's the, when you get one of those things, is it just like a gratitude to get? Is it something you want to pass down? How do you vision everything that you have? Because it seems like you have quite of an expensive collection.
Yeah, I do. It's hobby collecting nowadays is an expensive. It's tough to incorporate a kid into it nowadays, because they have finally brought out like lower end stuff. Okay. And even in some of the lower end stuff, you can get like a Nathan McKinnon autograph. You can get a McDavid autograph in some of the stuff, but the chances are 1 in 7,000 packs, right? So the opportunities when you spend more, the opportunity to get that bigger card is obviously more. And so I would prefer to have a kid who is, let's say you use a 5-year-old kid and you give him a pack of cards. I've seen kids open a 25 or $1 pack of cards and think that they hit the absolute jackpot because they are a X fan and they pulled a player from that team. And it could be a guy that has only skated 2 shifts in his whole life, but he's got that card and he thinks he's got something. And
Yeah.
so just to see that excitement in the difference between a kid who's 5 or a kid who's 50 is a big difference. Because the kid who's 50 looks at that and throws it straight in the garbage.
What'd you do with all your old cards?
You know what? I have a bunch of base cards. I used to take them to the hospital, and they don't do that anymore. They don't accept the cards anymore. So I'm actually trying to find a home for some base cards, to be honest with you. Otherwise, I just put them in the recycle bin. Base cards essentially just take up too much space and they have to go somewhere. And so I put them in the recycle bin. I'm not sure what else to do with them.
So you used to take them to the kids at the hospital?
Yep. I used to take them to like the children's ward at the hospital, and they used to distribute them. And it would be great, right? Because you'd see a kid, open the cards and think that he's got something, even though to me it's only worth 5 cents, but to that kid it's priceless, because again, it's all about value, perceived value as to what you see, right? And so to that kid it was a big deal.
And it's the thought that matters.
Exactly.
Right? Somebody thought about me to bring this down here to me, and that's awesome.
And then so just to hear some other oddball stuff that I've got that's kind of cool. It's the cap. It's the button off the top of the cap.
Okay? Oh wow!
So this is Jonas Valanciunas. He's with Memphis now. No, Memphis, yeah. Or no, Hornets, yeah, Memphis maybe.
Yeah, he's with Memphis, and we'll see where everybody ends up after today. The trade deadline's I guess at 3 o'clock. Yeah, the Magic have traded their whole team.
Yeah, I see that.
They traded Gordon, Vucevic, Fournier.
Yeah, I seen that.
Al-Farouq Aminu, man.
And so
they gave up Fournier for 2 second-round draft picks.
Yeah,
Evan Fournier, and I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah, you think that's too much or not enough?
That's not enough. I mean, Fournier, for me, I think Fournier is one of the better pure scorers in the NBA.
Yeah, he can shoot the ball.
Yeah, he can shoot it.
So this is they take during the rookie showcase, they basically make these rookies, stand around and take pictures with a hat on, like after you get drafted, and so it's not game worn, but they call it event worn. Then they go and they take that cap and they cut it off, they put it into cards, right? And so there's just some different stuff like that. It's neat to be able to open a pack and get something like that. It's different, right? And not necessarily worth anything, but it's different.
For the people that are listening to this that have no clue, what would a hobby like this run you to go to high end? Not necessarily what you spend, but what would it be for them if they wanted it to get involved in the high end card hobby business?
So there's breakers out there now too, right? So instead of going out and spending say $1,000 on a pack of cards, which because it can happen, you can spend $3, $4, $5 on a pack of cards now.
Wow.
And then so literally it's a sealed pack of cards that you don't know what's in there that you're putting $5 towards. That being said, it's no different than investing some days. So if you want to consider an investment, go ahead, because some investments you're given a tip that it may go good, but you're not necessarily 100% sure. This is kind of the same thing. You're getting a tip that there's this in these cards somewhere. I'm not saying it's in this pack, but it's somewhere. And take your $5. Here's your 8 cards or 6 cards, and best of luck to you. And I've seen it happen, definitely seen it happen. And then guys get skunked, literally it's junk, and they're like, ugh. Right, that cost me $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000. But anyway, so there's breakers that you can go on breakers channels, on sports card breakers channels, and you can join group breaks, right? And so instead of spending $1,000 for a pack, you can spend $100 for a pack, and they'll put you in a randomizer, and now whatever card you get pulled or cards that you get pulled, those are the cards you get, right? Otherwise, you can go and you can buy.
So it's like a group of people buying one pack. And it's random to what card you're going to get out of the pack.
1 pack or a case or a whole bunch of different boxes. It just depends on the break that you're in. Or you can go down to your local card shop and go ahead and buy the box. Some card shops sell them by the pack as well, but you go and you buy the box for the most part, and then you go home and break them open and see what you got. And part of the rush is actually breaking those cards open, to going through each one of them like, okay, this one looks like it could be a good one. Oh, it's a Nick Lewis rookie card.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. But it's just,
yeah, that's worth $2.
Hey, to have the all-time CFL receptions leader, I could probably snaggle $5 for that, I bet. But anyways,
yeah, hope so.
But anyway, so it's kind of the thrill of it. It's the thrill of the hunt as well, of opening it, not just the monetary value as per se. It's that thrill of, wow, what did I get? Or like, oh, I sure hope I get a McDavid, right? Or whatever.
So I have a question for you. As an athlete, I've always kind of struggled with, signing cards.
Yep.
Right. Just signing all the cards and doing these things. And you come across as, like, why would you not sign it?
Yep.
But then every time you do it, you're almost diminishing your own value.
Within the hobby world, this has been accepted to be the only autograph that you want, unless you want to put it into your personal autograph, because it has been authenticated by Upper Deck. So there's so many forgeries out there and so many people trying to forge stuff in order to make a buck, that if you don't have that authentication, you're taking that chance of buying something that's forged. So
yeah,
for myself to get a Nick Lewis autograph, I have the right connections that I can get a Nick Lewis autograph any day of the week.
Yep.
On the flip side of that, as to you being the athlete and giving out your autograph, to me, I would hate to say that, but I would think that, if there's a young kid, we'll say 10 to 15 years old, even maybe 6 to 15 maybe, and he's coming up to you for an autograph, I would think that that's pretty genuine.
Yeah.
I would think that the kid, you're some sort of, role model for him, or he wants to be like you, or he's seen you play and he loves the way you play, or you made an amazing catch and he wants to be like that as well. I would think that's pretty genuine. I have heard rumors and or stories about, guys taking a kid who's 6 to 15 and, using them to get a Nick Lewis autograph and then going and putting it on eBay. Well, those people are the garbage people of the world, and let's not worry about them.
Well, they used to stand outside the hotels and they'd be outside your hotel room. So when you're coming down to get on the bus, they know what time the bus leaves pretty much, 2 or 3 hours for the game. So now they're just waiting out front and they stop you and get your autograph and things like that. It's such a fragile, thin line between respectfully declining to do autographs and to do it. Because like I said, every time you sign something, it really diminishes the value of everything else.
It does,
right? Unless it's a special piece.
And now you see it more and more, athletes monetizing on their popularity by having like a signing session in a mall or whatever, where you would, you pay your $20 a head and you stand in line for 2 hours and you go and you can get whatever you want signed by them. But, you have to pay your money, right?
Yep. And I think that's where I'm kind of going with everything is now more towards being able to do it in a structured environment.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
But you also want to offer up things that's not going to be able to, I don't want to be able to, I want to sign something that they're only going to be able to get there at that event.
Yep.
Right. So it'll be something special to that event, or things like that in that environment. Now, how does that come across? Does that come across wrong, or does that come across like, how does that come across to you as, as a sports collector and as a fan of sports, to hear someone say that?
I know other athletes within other sports that have told me kind of the same thing, and I can understand it. You get bombarded to the point where it's like, I'm not entirely sure what I'm even supposed to. You could sit there and probably sign autographs for 2 hours, right? I mean, it just wouldn't stop. So where are you supposed to draw the line? And so if you autograph the card for this guy, or autograph the hat or jersey for X, you have to do it for Y, right? So it gets to the point where it's like, okay, well, yeah, I would probably do it if yourself in the controlled environment felt good, even if you're getting paid or not. But just for, like I say, for like a kid to come up to you, it's probably a little different than some guy who is, harassing you and on you. Hey, Nick, sign my jersey, sign my hat, sign this ball. He wants you to sign everything. Well,
sign my shoes.
Sign my shoes, right?
I'm like, man, the parents pay for them shoes. They probably get mad if somebody signing their shoes.
So as me as a collector, I've gotten autographs, but I've done it on the DL, where it's basically, I've ran into a guy and I'm a fan, and I kind of, go up to him haphazardly and say, you know what, I'm not going to make a scene here. I know who you are. I'm a big fan. Wonder if I could just get an autograph or a picture with you, right? And 9 out of 10 of them has said absolutely, like no doubt about it. I've been to airports, I've been on resorts, I've been in hotels, and I've ran into guys just out of the blue, really. And it's best when they're in places where people aren't lined up like that, like out front of a team hotel, where it's just where they're, maybe they're on vacation with their family and stuff. And that's for the most part where I've ran into a lot of guys and just said, under my breath, hey, Mr. Lewis, I'm a big fan. Would you mind if I get an autograph or a picture with you? And, like I say, 9 times out of 10, they're like, absolutely, let's do that. Because there isn't a whole lineup of people, right? And I still think I'd like to have that recognition, and that, it's a bit of a boost to their ego as well, right? Let's face it. But at the same time, for yourself, getting back to that, I don't think it's your own personal preference. So I don't think I would never consider you any different than what you are. If you told me, no, I can't give you an autograph, I understand the business. I understand the business of it. And so it may be other people who don't understand that business, or how that business works. But and I think the majority of guys do sign, to a point. But guys like Crosby and McDavid and those guys, they can't. They literally can't. You'd be there till hell wouldn't have you.
Yep.
Right? So I'm not sure if that answers your question or not, Nick, but
it does. It does. It makes me think about, like, maybe it's I don't sign shirts, or I don't sign hats, or I don't sign certain things, but I'll sign personalized memorabilia. So if we did have taken a picture together, or you do have a picture of me, those things, because it's not for me to want to, like I said, discredit or to take away. I'm just trying to improve the value of some of the things that I want to do.
And the thing about it too, Nick, like, so it used to be back in the day that before authenticity was a big deal, guys used to put that stuff on eBay and with a good story, and you get decent money for it. Well, now with the authentication process that these things have to go through in order to be authenticated and to say yes, that is actual Nick Lewis's autograph. If you signed a hat for me today and I put it on eBay, unless somebody's really wanting it bad, you're not even going to get the cost back for your hat. Like, it's not worth anything, right? People are more adept in thinking it's a fake than that it's real, right? So unless I have the picture of you signing that hat with the actual picture of me standing there, and then a guy authenticating it right there, it's only for the guy getting it signed. That's for his own collection for the most part, because nobody's really willing to pay for that, right? Like, I don't know. I wouldn't pay for something that's not authenticated. I'll put it to you that way.
I just, that's a very fascinating hobby of collecting and being able to do all these things with your cards, and that's pretty cool. You know, it's got me very interested in seeing what I really do have. It would be like a kid on Christmas be opening those books and going through them. Because I think about the 90s and, you know, Barry Sanders cards and different cards like that that to be able to go back and see them now. I mean, and probably most of them are base cards, but maybe there's one or two in there that makes it worth going through.
And here's the thing about some of those back in that era, they were mass produced, right? Like absolutely mass produced. So it devalued those cards pretty much instantly. As soon as they got released, it devalued those cards, whether you had a Barry Sanders or a Christian Okoye, they're both worth the same, right?
Yeah.
Because they're just so mass produced that there's just so many of them out there that, you know, why would anybody pay a buck when you can get them for 10 cents down the street, right?
Yeah.
So the production of them is a big thing. And, you know, like that Karoo card I showed you, you know, it's out of 25, right? So there's only 25 of these cards made. There's other Rod Karoo autographs, but on this set,
on that card
and this card, there's only 25 of them, right? So, you know, that makes it a little bit more rare, and there's collectors that want that type of stuff, the rarity of the stuff. And so, you know, to have your you know, like even like through the 90s in hockey with Pro Set, Martin Brodeur, right, Hall of Famer, Jaromir Jagr, Hall of Famer, Mario Lemieux, Hall of Famer, you know, and then you look at like a Jagr rookie card, and it's selling for like 30 cents or like a dollar, and you look
That's
at
so
Jagr's
crazy.
career, right? Like to me, that just blows my mind. It just, and you know, Martin Brodeur's cards selling from 10 cents to 50 cents, like it just boggles my mind, right? But at the same time, there were so many of them printed and so many of them distributed that you just, you know, you can get one. They're a dime a dozen. They're everywhere you look, right?
Would you ever get in the NBA Top Shot? Or you really like having the
I like
card?
having the physical card, right? I'm old school that way a little bit, right? You know, that's no different than those NFTs. Are you familiar with those NFTs? That
No.
non-fungible token, it's called.
Okay.
It's
Yep.
basically, you know, it's basically a unique and one of the only one card out there that you own the rights to. Somebody else can find it online and click download and take it, but you still have the original one, and that's worth something. Okay. And so, you know, Bitcoin is a fungible trading item because you can trade Bitcoin back and forth all day and you get what you get, right?
Yep.
Non-fungible trading cards or non-fungible pictures it's a one of the only one. And yeah, you can find copies of it on the net, but you have the original one and your name's attached to it. And it's worth something to guys, right? So like even that tweet, what's his name? Jack Dorsey sold his first tweet, right? And, you know, stuff like that. So there's NFTs that have sold out there for 69 million.
Oh, wow.
And then there's ones now, you know, even like sell for like, you know, 1,500 to $5,000, right?
I don't think I ever understood the magnitude of trading cards and of all these things, man. You're bringing so much enlightenment to this conversation of a world that I didn't even know existed anymore.
Yeah.
Right. Even from the mass production ways to now how you're saying they're not mass produced anymore as much. And so now it's going to increase the value. And do any of the athletes get anything from Upper Deck, or do they get anything from these companies for that?
For the most part, it's through their players association, their unions. And so there's some players that will refuse to sign off. They'll be like, no, you're not using my autograph. They have to, no matter what, the union has to show their picture and the name, but to have an actual autographed or memorabilia card for memorabilia is different. Memorabilia can be anything. It's the autographs ones that's the big deal that the guys have to sign off on. And I'm sure that they get some sort of money from that. And I'm sure it's broken out as per your name. You know, so if you're Connor McDavid, you probably get more than Mike Smith, for example, on the Oilers.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's most of those negotiations, I believe, are done through the union reps or associations.
Dude, that's amazing.
And so we talked about numbered cards. I have one sitting right here in front of me. It's funny that we would talk about it. This is a 101. This is the only card ever made.
Wow.
It's a Mario Lemieux, Joe Mullen. It's a piece of Joe Mullen's stick. It's a piece of Mario Lemieux's jersey. It's the only card made.
1 of 1.
Literally stamped 101.
Do you remember when you bought that pack and how much that pack cost?
That was a while ago. This is a 10-11. I would think that pack it was a box. I would think that box would have been, $300.
Wow.
Yeah.
But that card's obviously worth more than $300.
Yeah, I would say it is, especially to the right guy. That being said, the right guy you're probably talking to, because do I really want to give up a 1-on-1 card with Mario Lemieux?
Yeah.
I'm a hockey fan, first of all. Edmonton Oilers fan, but a hockey fan overall. And, I'm a big fan of Mario Lemieux, obviously. The guy's had super talent. Even Joe Mullen, what a great career, right? American hockey player, just an amazing career, right? Anybody who can put that many games, I'm going to guess that Joe Mullen has had over 1,200 games. That's going to be my initial guess. I don't know the number, Nick, but I'm going to guess that's it. So anybody who can play, 1,000 games or more in the NHL, and let's face it, you're somebody, right? Because not everybody can do that, right?
Yeah.
So, it's really cool though to have that kind of stuff. Like obviously we all have our name recognition with MJ and LeBron and stuff like that. But there's other guys in here that I have in my collection that I'm like, if somebody wanted to buy it, I guess I would sell it. But for the most part, yeah, it looks pretty cool in my collection. It's not going anywhere. And so for me to hand it down to somebody one day, I would like to do that, to be honest with you. But
would you ever consider selling your whole collection? And if you did, what would like a number look like?
I probably would, I suppose, under the right, circumstances, I guess. And this number is going to blow people's minds. But my collection with my McDavids and Crosbys and everything, I would probably need 300,000.
Wow. That's amazing.
It's crazy to say that, but that number seems totally high to just the average Joe. But
that's like a 5,000 square foot house in Texas.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right. It's just, there's so much stuff like, if you go and you can do your research on Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid cards, and on any given day you can sell a Sidney Crosby card easy for 25 grand, McDavid card for 30 grand. It happens.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on, sharing about InvictaVR, sharing about your card collection. This has truly been fascinating for me. I look forward to where InvictaVR goes and being able to share it with other athletes and other people. And yeah, I'm looking forward to getting this card collection started and seeing if I can get in the game.
I want to see if you get those. I would definitely want to sit down with you and go through them, because some of those Sean Kemp rookie cards are in good shape, graded, sell for a lot of money now. Sean Kemp is still well collected. You mentioned Gary Payton, and Gary Payton had a great career, right?
Yeah.
He's not collected.
So, I mean, for me, it's more of, I would take cards, I'd buy the packs, open them at home, and it's straight from opening to organizing.
Yep.
Right. So it was going straight into the pack. So the card should be in good shape, maybe a little dusty, but other than that, man, I think I'm gonna have to get on the horn and get that figured out.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool to see, Nick, for sure, and it'll be a great flashback for you as well, right? Reliving those memories. You can't put a dollar on that.
No, you can't. Well, I appreciate you for coming by the Lulu Logic podcast, Jason. We are out.
Thanks, brother. Peace. I appreciate it.
Indeed.